Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I've had some strange days.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Strange Days, which released in 1995 from writers James Cameron and Jay Cox and directed by Kathryn Bigelow. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Lenny Nero, played by Fiennes. He's a black market dealer who deals in mini discs of people's memories that other people can upload using a squid, a super quantum user interface device, and utilize the mini disc to be able to replay the memories for themselves. But there is a murderer going around who is leaving certain discs for Lenny, and as he uncovers the mysteries behind these discs, he realizes that some of his friends, his close loved ones, and some really nasty enemies might be trying to do him harm.
So James Cameron actually conceived the idea for this film back in 1986, almost a decade before the film would get made.
Yeah.
But he shelved it because he was interested in doing other projects at the time. But Kathryn Bigelow was like, hey, that unused script that you've got, or that story treatment, I'd like to have another look at it. James Cameron's like, yep, fine, and here's Jay Cox, he'll help finish the script. And Kathryn Bigelow was the one who really wanted to helm this film. Sadly, when the film released, it had a budget of $42 million and only grossed $8 million in America, and on its opening weekend only grossed about $37,000. So it was an absolute catastrophe, a box office bomb, a huge flop, and it pretty much ended Kathryn Bigelow's career for almost a decade, really. And it was only really Hurt Locker that kind of got her back in the good graces to continue really making films again.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame.
Well, I mean, in Kathryn Bigelow's defense, she didn't write this. She just directed this, and she was working with the material that she had. And she has worked on some really great projects with material. I mean, Point Break, fuck me, what a movie. Like you said, Hurt Locker's great. Near Dark is like up there as a contender as one of the best 80s vampire movies next to Lost Boys.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I mean, I'm a big fan of Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis. I've seen Kathryn Bigelow's stuff, and I'm like, yeah, some of that stuff really, really works. This movie, fuck me. I'd heard of it, and I'd heard people say to me, look, it's not very good, don't watch it. So I didn't. And people had said, oh, have you ever seen Strange Days? And I'm like, well, I've heard it's really bad. And it's like, well, no, you got to give it a watch. And I wasn't intrigued because, there was just not enough surrounding it, especially in the 90s as well. Like between 95 and then up to 99, there were just some really great sci-fi-esque dystopian movies that overshadowed this. But I'd always kept hearing the rumors that supposedly that this was good. So when it appeared on our list, I was like, hey, yay, I get to tick this off my bucket list.
It is on the 1,000 films to see before you die list, so...
yeah, was it fucking 999? Because 2.5 fucking hours. Like, I know I complain about the length of movies sometimes, but...
Sometimes.
Yeah. Because sometimes the flow of a movie doesn't depend on its runtime. It depends on its pacing. It depends on how the actors keep you enthralled in the movie so that 2 hours can go by like that. And you're like, shit, the movie literally just started and we're already at the end. That's a really good flow. I looked at this and I was like, okay, I already get the feeling that I'm going to regret this because there's no way this unknown, unwatched movie from 1995 that bombed like a motherfucker can be that good for 2.5 hours. Because if it is, why did it bomb? Why are people not talking about this movie? What is it about this movie? And for me, immediately it was the pacing, but I was like, no, let's give it a chance. Let's look at this lineup. Like we said, Ralph Fiennes, fucking Lenny Nero. He's one of the greatest fucking actors of our time. It's like, I don't know. For me, it's like Daniel Day-Lewis and then Ray Fiennes.
Yeah.
Like those two are some really great actors. Angela Bassett, man, I love Angela Bassett. Like first time I ever watched her in Tina Turner's What's Love Got to Do with It?
Oh, hell yeah.
She hit me in the face. Like
powerhouse of an actress.
yeah, like wow. I didn't know music at this time. I didn't know Tina Turner, but Jesus Christ, Angela Bassett, you just gave it to me right there. Juliette Lewis. My God, what an actress, gorgeous, great singer, has done some incredibly controversial parts throughout her career. Tom Sizemore, man, I love me some Tom Sizemore. Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan, The Relic, fucking Natural Born Killers again with Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we got Michael Wincott in this as well. We got Vincent D'Onofrio. We got
that guy.
We got that guy, William Fichtner. Like, there's a hell of a lineup. Why does this movie supposedly suck?
Right here, right now, right on, to the end of all things.
Yeah, I'd like to know why too, because I don't think it does. I was enraptured from the opening of this film. Now, behind the scenes, Kathryn Bigelow had to work with a team of technicians to actually develop a prototype camera in order to actually film this sequence, because it had not really been done in film before.
What, first person POV?
Yeah, but for the action scene that it actually is, the way that it's being utilized.
Like Evil Dead did first person POV back in 81.
Yes, I know, but it was a brief moment, and it wasn't an entire elaborate set piece like a robbery on a Chinese restaurant with lots and lots of actors.
Oh yeah, I mean the flow of the shot was really good.
In order to have the camera mounted on somebody's head that would be able to have the vision, and then also be able to have the POV view where you can see the person who the camera is attached to.
Yeah.
So in order to develop that, they had to shrink the camera technology down so that it could be worn. And then the entire POV sequence that goes on for about 5 minutes is so engaging because the camera is eye level. You do not see a single edit in this entire sequence, despite there being multiple. And that's because the camera pans quite quickly at some points because the person's looking left and right. And so there's a few edits as the filming locations change.
I was going to say, the stairs is a good... I noticed it on the stairs. I was just like, if I was going to do the edit, it would be when they're running up the stairs and they're looking down at the cops and then just before they get out onto the roof. And
it's engaging because even though you are in the position of a criminal doing horrible things, but then when the police turn up, you have an immediate panic moment. Because I realized I'd already been immediately positioned in this person's shoes, and so when the lights turned up outside, like, oh fuck, and then you got one of the guys like, oh, quickly do some drugs.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
But that was it. I was just like, wow, those cops turned up really fast. Like,
well, I'm guessing because we see that the LA has got security checkpoints almost at every intersection. Like, the police force have been militarized as well. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that they turned up that quickly. Although, yeah.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like, I got that from the concept of the movie, that obviously being placed in LA and, like, especially around the 90s, Los Angeles was being used as, like, Demolition Man, fucking burn it to the ground, fucking Predator 2 had already fucking destroyed it in 92. So I'm like, oh, this is just LA. This is Lethal Weapon territory. But like you said, I was brought in by this opening because then it cuts to Lenny Nero. Like, he's got this interface device on his head and he's going through this guy's memories, because we see the robber kind of take the jump to try to get to the other roof to his buddy. Then he falls and he dies, and Lenny has to pull the device off because he's like, oh, I hate it when they die, because it messes
Sends
with my
a shock
head
to the system.
Oh.
I was like, that's great. We've had a riveting 3, 4, 5 minute action sequence that's set up, and then the reveal that we were just experiencing that through Lenny's perspective of wearing a headpiece. So we don't need to explain how that technology works. We've just seen it in action, so to speak. So the film's sort of shortcutting quite quickly here.
And I think this is where I will step in and say this is where the first checklist of where this movie's problems start to go. Because you have the focus, which is great, the focus on this device and the mini discs and the idea that you're dealing in people's memories, and you even have it set up where he's going and he's doing deals with people's in a club about, this guy wants to experience it. He's never done it before, and it's like, oh, you could be an 18-year-old girl in a shower, or you could be having sex with a woman and be a woman yourself. And then you see Lenny go off and hiring people to do these things, so
and
that
wear the headpieces to record them,
so that he's record it,
selling these,
so he can sell the
tapes.
disc.
Yeah,
but this isn't really the plot. This is only part of the plot. There are like multiple layers to the plot, and that, like I said, is probably the first problem I have with this movie, is that you had this really great futuristic idea with this strange device that nobody had seen, and it's not the focal point of your movie. The focal point of the movie is actually somebody has used this device to record something else and is now trying to hide the evidence, or hopefully get the evidence to Lenny so that Lenny can do something with that evidence. And so you're like, oh, the murder is the fucking plot of the movie? And the squid should be the focal part of the movie. The device is this great idea because it will come up a number of times in the movie, but it's overshadowed by these other ideas, because we then follow this girl, Bridget Bacco, playing Iris, who's being chased by these two police officers down into the subway. We've got a young Vincent D'Onofrio playing Burton Steckler, and then we've got that guy, this guy.
My favourite, that guy.
He's a fucking classic. William Fichtner playing Dwayne Engelman. They're two uniformed police officers who are chasing her down into the subway, and it's quite a tense sequence. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be a cool kind of concept in the movie, that this girl has been involved in something while using the squid device, and then she's got the mini disc, and she's going to be obviously trying to hide the evidence because these cops have done something evil. And it's like, yes, but that won't come up again for another 30 minutes.
It's because she does end up dying, and Lenny ended up missing her call, so he wasn't there to actually receive the disc or whatever evidence she had at the time.
Well, no, because she dropped it in his car.
That's right, in his car.
She
got towed away while he was in the club.
Yeah, but she goes into the club and she goes, oh, Lenny, come out. I've got something in the car for you. And so they go outside, and then she sees the two cops and runs off. And he's like, oh, my car's being towed. And I'm like, you get so much faff build up.
I don't think it's faff. I think it's really good world building.
But okay, it might be to you, but to me it was faff, because you had all this characterizing building, but ultimately it's going nowhere, because I'm still like, well, hold on a minute, where does this establish in this futuristic world that we're in? Because we're what, December 29th 1999, and so the whole backdrop as well is the millennium is coming, and everybody is scared that the millennium is coming, and that the rapture might happen, or the apocalypse might happen, or the world's going to hell in a handbasket, because like you said, the police are a military force in Los Angeles and there's checkpoints,
so the whole city's at a fever pitch anyway.
But it's, yeah, but at the same time, it's like you're filling the streets while we're watching Lenny drive around. You're filling the streets with all these criminals and gangs.
It's like a mall Santa being mugged by two ladies as he's going by with his drink. I'm like, what did he do?
Yeah, well, so I'm sat there, I'm like, I get it. Like, if your police force is a military force and they're overshadowing everybody and forcing everybody into kind of this big brother kind of lifestyle, okay, the cops are evil. But actually, I'm looking out of Lenny's window and I'm like, no, we need these fucking cops, because look at these fucking assholes running around on the streets. There's fucking anarchy.
Yeah, it's literally catch-22, isn't it? Like, you need them, but at the same time, you're like, but what are they doing with that power?
Like, exactly. Where's the president at this point? By this point, right, Escape from New York had showed us that a dystopian future with a police force will militarize and throw all the criminals into one area like a giant prison. In here, it's like they've done it to Los Angeles. They've just turned Los Angeles into this fucking huge world, but people are still living there.
People are just trying to get by.
People are still, yeah, I'm like, people are still going to jobs. Like people, like you got the bartender, the bar that they go to. It's him and Max, played by Tom Sizemore, who go and said that bartender just came to work. He's just pouring drinks. People are coming in and having drinks. Nobody's smashing up his windows. Nobody's saying... So it's like this, I don't know, this uneven kind of idea that, oh, the police are a military force and so they're evil. But actually the civilians are fucking assholes. So they need a police force to keep control of them. But actually the people aren't really doing anything because they're out in the street enjoying Christmas. Anyway, while Lenny is obviously trying to figure out what this message is that Iris is trying to feed him and things like that, like I said, he's met up with his buddy Tom Sizemore, who is an ex-police officer, and it is revealed to us that Lenny's an ex-police officer.
So they were obviously, they might have been partners or worked together at some point.
Man, I wish the movie had done that. I wish the movie had established that they were partners, ex-partners, and that Lenny had been fired or got rid of. Because we're told that he was kicked off the Vice Squad, but we're not told why.
No, the only thing that we can see that he's doing that is in this world illegal is peddling those hollow discs, I suppose.
Yeah.
So maybe he got caught with them, or maybe he was doing some shady stuff trying to get Faith out of the jail cells.
And that is my point too with the problem of this movie, is that you're putting in these script plot points, but you're not really establishing or detailing just the little bits for us to hang our hats on of why. Because like you said, I would have loved the fact if the movie had said, oh yeah, he got fired because he was dealing in these things and he was selling them in the police department and they are illegal and that's why he's continuing to do them now. But it doesn't do that. I would have really liked it if the movie had established that he had got Faith, played by Juliette Lewis, off the street because maybe she'd been a prostitute or drug addict or something, and he'd started a relationship, and the police force said to him, look, you can either end the relationship with her and stay on the police force or leave. And he goes, I leave because I'm in love with her. Because he establishes this when he goes home. He shows us, Ray Fiennes, Lenny shows us that he is madly in love with this Faith character because he's still got all these memory mini discs that he's reliving through the memory. I love Juliette Lewis, but I do not believe she needed to take off her clothes that much in this movie.
Yeah, I was not prepared to see that much of Juliette Lewis in this film.
Like I didn't mind, but then at the same time it keeps happening, and I'm like, why did you have to do this? It doesn't do anything for her character. It's like just a little bit of titillation for the audience to stay awake.
In some regards, yeah. But it also, it really shows the intimacy between these two characters that Lenny is still constantly reliving, and it positions us to understand that he is in a really dark place where he cannot move on, and he keeps reliving those memories in hopes of keeping that fire alive. And in some essences, he's also almost stalking Faith because he keeps approaching her and coming towards her.
Yeah.
And she has to constantly tell him, like, look, it's over. I love the moment where she's just like, the one difference between movies and what you're peddling is that movies have an ending. You know that when the credits are coming up, it's over. Like we are. Yeah. They're over. Go out. So I was saying, it was great.
Yeah, I really like that for a point, because I started to get the idea through the movie that, like Lenny was this, like the old school black and white detective noir movies, that he had this lover who is now a singer working in a club somewhere, and he keeps approaching her because he wants her back, but she doesn't want him, and so she just keeps getting him to go. But my problem with that was I've seen those play out, and I know the twists that might occur, and unfortunately those twists do occur in this movie. I'm not going to spoil it right now, but it's like you built Juliette Lewis's Faith character up to be this strong-willed woman who was just, trying to do her best to do well because she wants to be a great singer. And even Lenny says, you're going to be a great singer one day. I know it. You've got it in you. And she's like, oh, just leave me alone. And then something else would happen later on in the movie where she goes, oh, Lenny, I love you. And I was like, fuck off.
Well, there was one sequence that I really enjoyed in the middle of the film where Lenny Hayes had his car towed away from him, even though he tried to convince the guy, like, I'll give you some money, I'll pay you more. Well, I'll pay at the pound. Here, take my Rolex. We find out he's got a whole load of them in his car.
Load of Rolexes.
But he ends up, obviously, the car getting towed. He ends up calling Angela Bassett, and she's like, "Look, I'm currently working. I'm picking up this guy, but
Yes.
I'll pick you up, drop you off."
Yeah.
But then she complains to him that she's late because of it now, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll go and get your client for you."
Yeah.
And he bumps right into the police commissioner. And the commissioner's just looking at him like he's just stepped in something awful.
Yeah.
And but I do love the way that he just basically, the commissioner's like, "I'm really disappointed," and then Lenny just turns to him and goes, "In your sex life," and just walks right past him.
Yeah.
And the commissioner's just like,
I don't like disappointments, Nero. And you know what disappoints me very much.
Your sex life? Excuse me.
Yeah.
But it's the characterization moments. What I like is that after Lenny's picked up this client, got him back into Mace's car,
Yeah.
and then starts peddling his wares,
Yeah.
right behind his friend, who's looking in the mirror like, "You piece of shit! Like, I'm doing you a favor, and here you are just peddling your drugs, which are illegal right now."
Yeah.
And it turns out this client's like, "Hey, look, I've got my own Japanese
version.
superior
Yeah.
technology," and they start swapping discs But then Angela Bassett's like, "No, fuck this," and she turns around the corner, she gets out of the car, she's like, "Lenny," and she gives him an earful, and it's the first moment of reason, like the words of wisdom are coming out of Mace, and Lenny's just like, "Oh, but I think you still like me though. I think you're still my friend, right?" And he's just not hearing it, he's not seeing it.
Yeah, and I really liked that moment where, Angela Bassett is basically giving Lenny shit. And he's like, "Oh, but we're still friends." And I'm like, how many of us have had friends like that, that are constantly always asking you for money and help and are unwilling on helping you and are obviously just making their life spiral down worse and worse. So I'm like, okay, Mace, Angela Bassett's character, is our voice of reason in this movie.
She is actually, I feel, the hero of the film.
Yeah, I really hope that they don't dilute her character with meaningless fucking plot issues. Spoilers, they will.
I don't think it's meaningless at all. I think it's absolutely essential to establishing the characters.
It's not. It's not, because like you said, we've had this strong moment from her that they could have just carried it on, and they didn't need to go into the in-depths of her life as they try to do in this. They could have just allowed her to convey it, because she's such a great actress, to us how she feels. There's a line that she delivers where she's shouting at Lenny in the road, and she's like, "I've got an ex-husband who's not willing on paying anything because he's in prison. I've got a young child to take care of. I've got bills. I've got rent. You don't understand this, Lenny." And he stood there going, I don't understand responsibility. And I'm like, thank you, Mace. But then the movie goes, now we have to explain it to the audience exactly what Mace is fighting for. I'm like, no, you don't. You've already just done that. We already know she's got a kid. But we're going to get a brief flashback at one point about this kid. And then later on, we will see the kid again. And it's literally like he's not aged since the flashback. And I get it, because obviously they filmed for 2 years maybe? So the little boy that they had playing Mace's son obviously isn't going to age that much. And there's a point where they come into the house and there's somebody lying on Mace's sofa, and I was like, oh, that's the kid, he's grown up. The flashback was years ago. No, that's just the babysitter. The kid is sitting on the floor and he's the same age as in the flashback. And I'm like, so what? You're telling me that literally their meeting from the flashback was a year ago? And in that year, Mace has obviously been able to establish herself as this badass bodyguard limo driver with armor fucking plating and bulletproof windows?
Well, I mean, she's built for it, so I'm like, I believe it.
But then that doesn't feed in any more material into the understanding of Lenny's, relationship with her and the relationship with Faith. There's an imbalance there, because I'm like, okay, so maybe I'm overthinking this, but okay, if it's only been a year, say, since he met Mace, and he's been fired from the police force for whatever reason, and he's been dumped by Faith, Juliette Lewis's character, in the exact same time, and that he's still trying to fucking sell these mini discs. I'm like, Okay, can we get back to the squids? Can we get back to the squids, please?
Can in just a moment, but I just want to talk about some of the camera work as well. I've already high praise for the POV stuff at the beginning. But
Yeah.
the camera in this film is really dynamic and it's almost always moving. And even that sequence where Mace is driving the car and she gets Lenny out, the way that the camera just keeps moving around the characters. I love the little edit of the businessman sat in the back, like listening into them.
Yeah.
You know, but then the way that the camera then sweeps back around as Angela gets in the car, then it sweeps in the front as Lenny peers in through the front, and then she winds the window up, trapping him for the conversation to continue. I was like, it was slick camera work and smooth editing, where I was like, it was only when I watched that scene, like for the third time, I was like, I'm playing it back, and I'm like, just noticing how professionally this and seamlessly that this has been put together.
Yeah.
And the way that the information is just rapidly coming across. But going back to the squids.
Yeah.
There is one moment where I was actually like, actually, Lenny, you've just done a really nice thing. Where he goes, I don't know if it's a DJ or some guy behind a big wall of computers.
with
and
the
he's
desk,
like, here, Christmas has come early, or Happy New Year. This thing, and he talks about this guy who's in a wheelchair and has got no legs.
Yeah.
And he puts the hollow on, and immediately is a shot of feet in the sand on the beach. The water's coming up.
Yeah.
And then he starts running, and there's a pretty girl running past, and the guy takes the thing off, and he's just like, such a happy experience he's just had because he got to feel his legs again. And I was like, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, that was a great sequence because, like I said, you're then giving us a reason to care for Lenny, that he's willing on doing these things to help people. And so then as the movie develops, I'm like, yeah, he's going to help people and save the day and become the hero and all this other stuff. But I'm fairly certain, I forgot to look it up, but I'm fairly certain that that's the rat guy from The Abyss. Kind of looked like him, but I'm gonna have to check it. But yeah, he's in the club. He already gets kicked out once by the bodyguard of Michael Wincott, who plays Philo Gant, who's like a music mogul, and Philo Gant is the one who's in a relationship with Faith. Faith has left Lenny at some point and then ended up with Philo, and we're unsure if Philo is in love with her or if he's just using her or if he's teasing her with the idea that she's going to be a great musician one day. Because is this his club? Is this just a random club? Because Michael Wincott sit there in the VIP section like he fucking owns the place, but then I feel like he doesn't. It's just a random club that they go to, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You've got to establish this kind of crazy music club area for us to go to in this future area, but once again, there are fucking riots going on in the city and a military police force, but everybody's in here having a good time. 2 days before supposedly the fucking rapture is going to happen. Who cares? Everybody's having a great time. He gets thrown out, then he works his way back in, and then I think he gets thrown out again. And he gets punched in the face. Then he meets up with Mace, and Mace is like, oh yeah, your face is all messed up. And what the fuck's going on with these squids? And we get, he gets a letter passed to him with Nero written on it. And he takes out the disc, and the disc shows a guy breaking into the hotel room of Iris and beating her up, sticking the squid thingy on her. It gets
really uncomfortable, by the way.
It was unnecessary. It was really unnecessary. Like, with everything going on, having this killer kill this girl was one thing. Having this killer kill this girl while he's raping her to then establish the squid kind of multi-link thing that she feels what the killer is doing to her. It's like...
So yeah, he's dual recording so that the victim is feeling the pleasure of the abuser at the same time as being choked and raped to death. It's horrifying. And
yeah, that should have been your fucking plot.
Well, it is for this moment, and we do see that Lenny and Max, who is also, we're seeing him reliving the experience, and it is, unfortunately, also appears to be a euphoric experience reliving the memory of it, which is disturbing as well.
But it's just confusing because, like we said, we've already established that Iris is being chased by these two cops. And so then you sit there going, well, is it one of these cops that is murdering her?
Well, that's it, because Max also foreshadows or hints that there is a greater conspiracy. There are police death squads. And because Lenny's already glimpsed some of that, he's thinking Max is probably telling the absolute truth here.
Yeah, he's not. It's a lie.
It's Tom Sizemore.
It's Tom Sizemore.
Can you believe him?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm like, right, okay, because we established that the disc that Lenny is able to get hold of after Iris drops it.
Wasn't it left for him as well? Because the killer also breaks into his house and also films him like pulling a knife across Lenny's neck and then leaving that tape for him to discover.
Exactly. It was like...
So the killer is sending Lenny these tapes, and so Angela Bassett's just like, why is the killer sending these tapes to you?
Yeah, why?
And that's because Max explains again then, well, everybody knows Lenny. Lenny's the number one hotshot in town peddling these memories and discs, so...
But it's like, but that's what I mean. It's like the killer, we'll get to the killer later, but the killer kills what? 2 people.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a major plot point. And it's not, and then that kind of ruins the whole squid interface murder rape kind of idea that you're having, because it's not the main thing. It's not the idea that we're following. The other diluted idea that we're also following is the fact that Philo Gant, the music mogul, is addicted to using these squiddies, and he's actually been getting prostitutes or girls to wear these things to then interact with his musicians that work for him. The main one being Jericho 1, played by the great Glenn Plummer, who has been gunned down in the streets by a couple of rogue police officers. Oh, you see the connection now?
Again, we see all this through the POV shots. Again, the whole sequence is the POV from the squid.
Yeah, but we'd already had it fed to us through the movie, because, you know, the news reporters tell us that he's been gunned down in the streets by, you know, somebody they don't know, and they're looking for any eyewitnesses. And I sat there going, like I said, this is my first time. Didn't wiki it. Have never wikied it. And I'm sat there going, I wonder if that girl that we saw being chased by the 2 cops at the beginning who got her wig ripped off and they saw that she was wearing the squid device might have accidentally recorded the murder that these 2 police officers were involved in. Is that our plot? Because...
Yeah.
You say yeah, but then that doesn't necessarily mean that we need the killer or the side plot of Faith. We could easily just follow Lenny trying to recover this disc and try to show the world or the city of Los Angeles that these police officers are bad, and that the military use of the police officers in the city of Los Angeles is bad. And hopefully there's somebody in the police force who isn't corrupt that he can give the disc to. Maybe it would be the commissioner, who was the person who fired him for reasons unknown.
Because Lenny is an asshole.
But he's not. He's a good guy who gave a disabled guy a disc.
I know. But I guess he's still a criminal.
The flashback with Angela Bassett would show us that he was a good guy.
Yeah. But he made some very bad life choices, which led him to this point. And then he's stuck in a rut. And, you know, Mace has been trying to tell him this, but he's just not listening because he's still in love with Faith.
Yeah.
No, this guy is one of your squid head contacts. He's somebody that you know, Lenny.
The problem with that is, Mace, Lenny knows everybody.
And this culminates in one of my absolute favorite scenes in the film, where Lenny is explaining, like, you cannot take that disc to the police, because if the police get hold of this, they'll cover it up and, you know, nothing will happen with it. But you can't take this to the press either. If you take it to the press, there'll be pandemonium on the streets. There'll be riots. There'll be chaos. The whole city will burn.
Actually, Monfrere, he tells her not to take the disc to those places because Lenny is afraid that he's going to be framed for the murders,
also,
and that he's going to obviously have all of his clientele taken away from him. So he's doing it for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Because everything you've just said actually does happen. She does give it to the police. you know, and the press do get hold of it, and ultimately it's not revealed to us, but ultimately the world would have changed for better.
I hope.
We hope. Oh man, it just keeps going through this middle section of him going to see Faith again at Philo's house or fucking apartment. It's like Philo Gant's like, how the fuck did you get in? He's like, well, I convinced them to let me through. I'm like, there's no security? Like, nobody would have just rung up and gone, oh, by the way, Mr. Gant, there's a Mr. Nero here. Do you want us to send him up? No? Oh, okay. We won't let him in.
I think Gantz just likes fucking with Nero though, so...
But
he already says, like, I've already got everything I want from you, including your girlfriend.
Exactly. So... I'm like, wow, Michael Wincott is fucking the bad guy in this. Or at least the movie is trying to say he's the bad guy. Maybe that's point 3 for me. The problem with this movie is that it doesn't fully really establish who the villain is. And maybe the villain is the big reveal thing that we will reveal in a bit later on at the end of the movie. But the movie hasn't established that villain very well because it's been overshadowed by all these other supposed half-quarter villains that we're supposedly following.
I mean, that's typical of a noir or a neo-noir, is you have lots of red herrings. Yeah. So you don't know which lead is the real one.
Yeah, I get that. But as we said, it's like they took a detective noir movie and went, oh no, we need to thicken it a little bit. So we'll add in all these other things. We'll make it futuristic. We'll have this strange device. Oh, actually, we don't think the audience is going to really get along with that. So we'll add in the actual more political kind of streets of Los Angeles, racism, kind of, black violence, because like supposedly James Cameron had been influenced by the Rodney King beating, and so he kind of wanted to shoehorn that into his script as well. And it's like, no, you can't just you can't try to set it here and then steal ideas from there and then bring it back to the present and then expect your audience to get along with it.
You 100% can. No, you're just using it as a backdrop for what's going on in this film's timeline.
No, you can't, because
you can.
You say that, but they did it in this movie, and this movie bombed.
So doesn't mean that it was a mistake to incorporate real world events into the backdrop of the film.
So they did do all these multiple things, and it did not work. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying
there's a difference between it working within the context of the film and audiences turning up to see the film or not.
Because yes, but audience did turn up to watch the movie. It made
Very few.
Yeah, exactly. Those few people watched the movie and by word of mouth would have said to people if it was worth watching or not. And those word of mouth would have got around that this wasn't worth watching at the time. And it's not me. I'm not I'm not making this personal or taking this personal. What I'm portraying and saying is what I see and the evidence that I have in front of me. And the evidence to me is that you had a little bit too much going on to try to fill in some holes or try to make some political message that you were hoping would establish this movie as a great idea. 4 years after this, Matrix would come out, and Matrix would feed into society that the idea that we were living in a simulation. The Truman Show would do the exact same thing, and everybody bought that idea. Word of mouth spread for those movies that made them two of the biggest movies of the 90s. That's the evidence I have to flow from. If The Truman Show had come out and people had said, don't fucking watch it, there's far too much stuff going on, it's far too political, there's these futuristic ideas that don't pay off. Truman Show, much like this, would have bombed. But it did not. This did. And it's trying to establish, like we said, why. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or anything. I understand that you absolutely get the movie, but not everybody does. Nobody went to watch this, and trying to convince people to watch it now, I feel is a really bad idea, because while I was watching this movie, I was like, was it outdated at the time? Was it too far ahead for itself? Did audiences not get it at the time, and so hope that the movie would come out at another timeline for people to go, oh yeah, shit, oh my god, this is absolutely relatable, and possibly we could do this now in 2026 by saying, oh yeah, we have VR technology now. People do watch porn videos and theme park rides and things like that you're not really there. You're enjoying this. I'm like, okay, let's go with that. But then you've got the racial violence stuff that the movie is trying to also portray, which I'm like, oh well, ironically, a year after this movie came out, Tupac Shakur would be killed by possibly police officers. Maybe Suge Knight watched this movie and went, oh, I've got an idea. Maybe I should do that. But it's also the idea behind the fact that trying to get your audience to latch on and care for points in a movie, they need to be, and it's not the idea that they need to be spoon-fed, but it does need to be explained in a point that you go, ah yeah, right, I totally get that. But 40 minutes into, or up to an hour into this movie, you're still like, well, where are we? Where's the killer? Who do we think the killer is? Like there are some real deep, dark mystery movies out there where the killer is in the background. Fucking Seven came out this 95, maybe 97, and there you go back and watch that and you can see fucking Kevin Spacey hiding in the background every now and again. So you're like, okay, is the killer hiding in the background around this movie?
No, plain sight, actually.
Absolute fucking plain sight, yeah.
Well, after that rant, Ian, I think I need to jump our audience into a riveting action scene.
Yes, oh god, yes.
The two police officers, Vincent D'Onofrio and William Fichtner, have spotted Mace and Nero in the car, and they are in hot pursuit, chasing after them. And thankfully, because Mace is now in security escorting, her car it's not bulletproof, no. It's bullet resistant, which is a nice little comical gag. It's constantly being shot at. But eventually they end up getting trapped at the end of a broken road or a pier or at the ocean's front. And so they reverse back and then they're trapped. And they're about to get out of the car and go out guns blazing. When Vincent D'Onofrio's character's like, I'm just going to pour gasoline all over the car.
And you can burn the car.
And then just set fire to the car. I was like, oh, damn. Well, I guess there's only one way to get out of this. And Mace just puts the car, drives right off the pier, right into the ocean. And great shot. I wasn't expecting to actually see the car hit the bottom. Yeah. But it's rare you even do in those sort of cars splashing into the water.
I did love the shot where you had William Fichtner and Vincent standing there where the fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that's a great shot. You could have just made the whole film about them then. Them trying to get this disc back. They're really bad, evil cops.
And considering how great those actors are, it would be a great film in its own right. But they're just another piece to this jigsaw.
But that's what I'm saying as well. It's like we have this whole chase sequence with them using a machine gun trying to shoot them down. Where's the crowds?
Yeah, it was the same in the subway when they were shooting the train. But the thing is, because they're police, I think at this point in time, there's no one going to complain.
They're dressed in suits at this point.
Yeah.
They just look like gangster baddies.
I guess at this point, it's just par for the course in LA.
I would have loved for them to have been working for Philo Gant. But they're not. They absolutely have no connection.
I also love
to
that
Philo.
There's no connection because you think that there might be. And so again, the red herrings, you're just like, who's connected to who's working for who's tipped who off. But turns out that, they're just out desperate to save themselves.
Yeah.
Because, one of the night workers got away with evidence filming them killing Jericho 1.
Yeah. And so, they've got this disc. And Lenny's just like, right, we need to obviously get to your house because if they're cops, they'll know the where you live.
Trace the license plate,
they'll know where your family is. So we need to take all your people somewhere safe. And so then they go to somewhere in South Central Los Angeles, I suppose, where there's a big party going on. And Mace gets some of her family friends to take care of her son, who, like I said, hasn't really aged from the flashback. So that takes me out of the movie of establishing. I love the fact that we're establishing Angela Bassett as this mother character trying to protect her son, but now you're also trying to establish the fact that she's built this relationship around how Lenny was able to help her and her son. But in that also time, she's realized that Lenny's a piece of shit who's always taken advantage of her because he's allowed his life to go completely down a plug hole.
But then it was at this point where as I said earlier in this review, like, I was like, how is she a friend to him? Why is she still around him as a friend?
Yeah.
And it will turn out during this sequence I was alluding to earlier about what to do with the disc, where she tells him, like, you need to drop that box of memories. Memories fade for a reason.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that I was like, oh my God, she is in love with Nero.
That's it.
And it's the same thing as Nero wanting to get Faith back and now having this unrequited love.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same for her, which is why she keeps doing these things for Nero, because she's in love with him. And so even though he sometimes repulses her with the choices he's made, she can't help herself.
Yeah.
She's in love with him. And so she will follow him now to the club to finish this. And I was like... But the film, she hasn't outright said it, but it's at that moment that I'm feeling it. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, not only are you the hero of the film, and Ralph Fiennes has almost become the damsel in distress now, like, and, well, spoilers, the hero will get the damsel at the end.
Yeah. But it's like I said as well, Angela Bassett feeds us that.
Oh, yeah.
She feeds us without actually saying anything.
A magnificent piece of acting.
Through her eyes, through her emoting, you're like, oh, she loves Lenny, you know? But the film doesn't really give us any reason of why. What is it that Lenny has done that's made her fall in love with him?
I think it was when he was clean, before he derailed himself.
Right, but it's like, stick with that, you know? We don't need the whole political stuff then. Of him trying to save the day or you know, get the Jericho 1 story out and stop the police from being this evil army, you know, because she's got this evidence and he gives it to her like, yes, you take the evidence, because like, I understand from a racial point of view, Angela Bassett, that this is more to you than it is for me, and I really need to understand from your perspective of how you feel for this. And I'm starting to change throughout this idea. Oh shit, my bad. We totally forgot about the killer out there again, didn't we? Because they get called by fucking Max to go to see their friend Tick, played by the great Richard Edson, and he's dead. And I'm like, that's a weird coincidence, isn't it, Max? That the person you asked us to go and see is, well, he's not dead, he's brain dead.
He's scrambled brains, yeah.
Yeah. And this is where Max starts to feed out this extra information about the death squad and things like that. So you're like, oh, well, okay, maybe that's also a connection in with these two police officers that are coming around. And you see the video that when they get to the house party, and he makes Mace watch it, even though she's never done this thing before and she's adamant she never wants to do it. She goes through the feelings of obviously watching Jericho 1 get killed and the police officers chasing Iris, and then obviously getting to the subway. And so that would then, you know, connect to the beginning of the movie. And so now they've decided that they have to go to this club to rescue Faith and confront Philo Gant with this evidence, and hopefully it just seems so fucked up, because I don't understand where this building is or why everybody's drawn to this huge building for this big party. Is that Philo Gant's place?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a popular nightclub.
Does he own all these places?
I'd imagine
He's got
so,
a penthouse at the top. Lo and behold, I mean, it's really lucky and coincidental that the commissioner of the police department is at the party.
Well, that's convenient.
I just fucking, oh my God. Like it's all connected. And Lenny says to Mace, like, look, I've had a phone call from Max. He's obviously knows where Faith is. She's in this room. And it's also revealed to us earlier on in the movie that Max, Tom Sizemore's character, is a private eye who was hired by Philo to follow Faith around and keep her in check.
He looks more like a homeless person by this point in the film.
That fucking hair, man.
Right? I was, as soon as I saw
wig.
that wig, I was like, oh no, it does not work.
I looked at it and I went, oh yeah, that's why we left 1995. We left those hairstyles behind. Like I lived through 1999. The most we really were caring about was the Millennium Bug. And it's so weird to watch this movie and see that the future had no care for that. Nobody has a computer other than the fucking DJ.
Yeah. Well, look, we see.
Fuck off! Like they should have. The filmmakers should have taken that idea. But I get it because I lived through 1995. Nobody thought computers were going to make much of a difference in the future. So why have computers in the movie when the most we have as a futuristic device is this floppy thing you put on your head? I mean, fucking like barely any of them have mobile phones or any real ways of communicating with each other. And I'm like, there's no future. It literally feels devoid of future tech, for such a futuristic movie.
Well, it's only the near future for the film's sort of when it was filmed and when its premises. So they didn't want to, Back to the Future it and go, we're going to be at Jaws 23 at this point.
It wouldn't have fucking mattered.
So when they get to, it's New Year's Eve, party's in full swing.
Yeah.
And it's like, Mace, you got the disc, go talk to the commissioner. I don't know why she follows him into the men's bathroom. It was probably the worst attempt to get his attention instead of waiting for him to come out, but she's like, no. And of course she gets surrounded by all the other male police officers, and then she gets escorted out of the building, but she does still give the disc to the commissioner.
She did, didn't she? Because I must have looked at my notepad or something, because then I looked up, I was like, I'm hoping she gave it to him, or she's still carrying it.
Right, because she ends up then leaving, and then it's not long before she is being chased and confronted by Vincent D'Onofrio and Fichtner again.
Yeah, but we don't actually see that much because we cut to Lenny taking the elevator all the way up to the penthouse suite to try to rescue Faith. And then when he gets up there, he finds another envelope and he finds another disc and he finds another squiddy thing because his was damaged and broken by Mace. And so he puts it on and he sees the killer come in and confront Faith, and he goes for the whole rapey sexual head fuck thing going on, and you see this body in the corner and you're like, oh no, Faith has been murdered. Who is the killer? Where is the killer? And like you said, there's red herrings. Is it Philo? Is it this person? Is it that person? And when he pulls back the sheet, Michael Wincott's character is there, Philo Gant, and he's brain dead as well. And Tom Sizemore appears with a gun. Shock horror. Max is the killer.
Yeah, I mean, we all called it. Tom Sizemore has a knack for playing bad guys.
Where am I? 0.3, 4, or 5? I can't remember. But my next point of negativity of the movie is this whole reveal from Tom Sizemore. It just... why did he have to waffle on about the reasons of why he was doing this?
He's got a severe case of villain syndrome.
Oh, it's fucking...
I have to explain my entire plot.
Is he the villain?
Yes.
Right, so it's not the Los Angeles Police Department or Philo Gant.
I mean, they're bad people and bad organizations doing bad things anyway. Okay. But they're not this film's central problem.
No, I don't even think this film knows what its central problem is. But yeah, like you said, he slowly starts to reveal that a month ago he was hired to follow Faith around by Gant, and that was when he kind of realized that he's kind of in love with Faith, or he finds her sexually attractive, or she came on to him because she didn't want to be followed around by him because she knows Max through Lenny, and she kind of likes being watched, or the whole memory thing, because when she was with Lenny,
she digs the whole voyeuristic kind of thing.
So they've been sleeping together behind Philo's back. So I'm sat there like, oh, it sounds like Juliette Lewis might be the fucking villain of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the femme fatale kind of characters tend to be quite villainous in nature. So yeah,
like, and he's like, oh, I sent Faith back down to the party, and I'm going to kill you, Lenny. After I kill Gant, bang, and I've set it all up. So all the evidence of all the killings that I've been doing in this movie was done by you. And you'll go to jail and I'll live happily ever after with Faith because we're in love. And I'm like, 20 quid, Faith turns up because she can't be fucking trusted to do fucking anything. And she's a fucking fiery, independent woman who just does her own thing. And boom! Juliette Lewis turned up the door. And I'm like...
saves Nero. Saves his life because he was about to be strangled to death.
I'm like, I bet you she betrays Max. Why? Why did you betray
She had
him?
a sudden change of heart. It was like, oh, I think I'm the villain. I best do something nice. The film's about to end.
Like, I think she might have been a little bit shocked by Gant's death, even though she'd been, an accomplice for him getting his mind wiped and wasn't a big fan of being smacked around by Michael Wincott. What was the end game if she hadn't come up and Max had killed Lenny? Was she gonna just sleep with
we don't
somebody
get
else?
to spend enough time with Faith to really understand her.
No.
What it is she's after.
Like we got some real nice bits with Juliette Lewis when she was working opposite Ray Fiennes' character, and she was emotional and
I mean, she was definitely, I think, using Gantz because she is an aspiring musician, singer.
Yeah.
There's a really cool sequence where Juliette Lewis uses her own vocals and sings a song in the film.
I remember during the 90s, she was like the lead singer of her own
That's
band.
right.
And I was like, that's why they've hired her, because she does her own stuff.
I imagine she's using Gantz to basically, move up the musical rankings.
It's not really going far.
Well, no.
Because she also finds out about the secret head stuff and the fucking killing of Jericho 1, and she feels really bad about it, but she's not willing on actually going forward to get anything to do with it, because she has multiple chances throughout the movie to kind of give the information to Lenny, but she keeps telling him to fuck off.
I also, part of me felt like she was doing it to, like, protect him and somewhat, like felt like she still cared for him, but she had to be mean to finally try to get him to go away.
Yeah, which like we said, in a detective noir movie, that constantly happens. With the femme fatale constantly saying, look, stay away, I don't want you getting involved, you might get hurt, and just leave me alone, I'm not in love with you. But he's going to keep fucking doing that. And like I said, he gets to this point, they have this confrontation, this fight, he gets stabbed in the fucking shoulder and they get smashed through glass, and then he ends up throwing Tom Sizemore over the balcony, and Tom Sizemore grabs the tie, which had been a plot point throughout the fucking movie. Like, I cared more about the ties than I probably cared about anything else going on.
Ray Fiennes had one hell of a wardrobe in this film. I was like, man, he is pimping.
That's where he is. And Ray Fiennes fucking reaches behind, grabs the knife from his shoulder and cuts the tie, and Tom Sizemore falls to his death, and you're like, hey, is it the end of the movie? No, because we still got 20 minutes to go, because fucking now we're getting the cop chase sequence with Mace, and Mace is being chased throughout the crowd, and like fucking Vincent D'Onofrio pulls out his fucking gun and kills like 8 people, and nobody reacts.
Well, the fireworks are going off, but people are reacting. People are screaming and reacting, but
that was cool editing.
Nobody dares like try to attack a police officer at this moment.
Bro, there is an army of fucking armed guards and shielded riot guys. Not one of them went, hey man, maybe don't do that because you're going to set the crowd off and fucking kick everything off. Why are you shooting randomly at this woman? Because they then capture her. Well, she takes them out and handcuffs the 2 of them to a thing. But then the police do turn up and they start giving her a bit of a Rodney King beating. And you're like, oh, fuck, she's going to die. But then the crowd decides, hey, no, we don't like this. This is bad. And they start fighting back. And then the commissioner turns up. And actually, the commissioner's a good guy. Surprised. Who's actually gone and looked at the disc and goes, hey, police, stop. These 2 cops are the bad guys. They're under arrest. Let's get this woman some medical care. And I'm like, oh wow, fucking hell. Like, yeah, you're the fucking hero of the movie, man. Jesus.
Well, Bill Fichtner doesn't like this news too much.
No.
So he ends up grabbing a gun and removing himself from the picture, which upsets Vincent D'Onofrio quite a lot.
Like, William Fichtner had nothing in this movie. He barely said anything.
I know.
He just was there.
Well, he was just an up and coming actor at this moment, so
yeah, and it's not a massive negative on him. It's just you then get him to commit suicide at the end, which then has the emotional impact on his partner. But I do not understand why. I do know that when he shot the fucking dog halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
I was like, kill them both. Fucking kill them both. And, you know, like I said, Burton Steckler pulls out his gun and tries to kill Mace, but the other cops are like, hey, put the gun down, stop it, you're bad, no, bang, 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 and he death by firing squad.
Pretty much, yeah.
The millennium is then approaching, the countdown is happening, fucking Lenny comes down, and I was sat there like, if they kiss, you're just gonna really, this will be another bad point of this movie, because you don't need it. We have already established that Angela Bassett's character loves Lenny, and in a way, Lenny loves her back, but maybe in his own friendly way, because he is still trying to just get off the relationship with Mace. But without even telling us, it's like Lenny goes, oh yeah, I've just realized that Mace has been my heart and soul and rock all the way through this situation. So while she gets into her car and I get into my car, I'm going to turn around, and while everybody's kissing because it's the millennium, because that's what people do at New Year's, they have a kiss, I'm going to take her out and we're going to share a kiss, and yay, love. End of the movie.
I do admit, I do feel like it feels a little bit forced when you watch it from Lenny's perspective, and then I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it from Mace's perspective. Like I said earlier, she's the hero of the film, and now she's rescued the damsel, so to speak, and you know, so she's got her prize. So in that sense, I'm like, that's fine because she already loved him.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but for Lenny Nero to have only just now gotten over Faith, to immediately rebound into his friend who's been like a rock, as you said, for him, felt a bit much and a bit too sudden. But the film is ending, so I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. But I'm kind of glad that these two are still friends.
Yeah, like I said, it was great partnership, because if the movie had established the partnership between Max and Lenny better, then Max's betrayal would have been more of a gut punch. So then him going back to his actual friend Mace, who he put on the back burner for most of the movie, to go, look, I'm real sorry, Mace. You are my person. You're my guiding light. I'm going to work with you, but I need to go back to my home now, and I need to rechange my life. That would have been a great ending. And instead it was like, oh, love, kiss, the millennium, 2000 come, we're all going to... It's as if the movie goes, tomorrow's going to be a better day. Everything that we did today is over. Yay. And I was like, but Jericho 1 was still murdered by two cops. We're not going to establish the political fucking issues with that now? Oh, okay, movie.
That's like trying to explain the fallout of the Tyrell Corporation leader being killed in Blade Runner. Like, you don't need to follow the fallout.
They made a sequel for that. And
30 years fucking later.
And explain it. Well, maybe now is the time they make a Strange Days fucking 2.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But it also feels like movies like Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood and a lot of gang violent movies had been around at this time and had established that, yes, there were issues with the police force that they needed to rectify. And present day 2026, we are still having these issues with police officers in pretty much every fucking country around the world, and like especially in America. And I'm like, so the movie ends with the idea or the fantasy that things will change, but they never do. So,
well, yeah. What were your favourite scenes from Strange Days?
Do you know what? I really, really enjoyed, one of the best moments of the movie was when I went, click, and just walked away. Because, like I said, I had hoped for a more easier narrative to flow through this sci-fi deep thinking movie involving this super quantum user interface device. But it doesn't flow with that. There's all these other branching networks that take my attention away from this really cool concept and idea, especially with the killer being able to use it, and then Philo Gant wanting to use it, and the police officers being involved in it, and Lenny's involvement with it, and then Mace telling him, right here, right now, you know, fucking Fatboy Slim idea. Fucking one of the best things that came out of this movie was probably Fatboy Slim's fucking right here, right now, because he took the idea from this movie. But
sampled it, yeah.
I do like the acting, but that's because the actors are very good. And like you said, for a lot of them, they are literally at the start of their career. So they are acting their goddamn asses off to be able to say, hey, I'm a good actor. And thank the Lord, somebody maybe have watched this and went, yeah, okay, the movie bombed, but you were great in it. You were great, Angela Bassett. Like I love that moment where she kind of lets Lenny fall asleep on her.
Yeah.
And she's chilling with him, but then it cuts the flashback, and the flashback just felt a little bit out of place or a little bit forced. I'm not entirely sure. Like it was just there to try to go, this is why Mace likes him. And I'm like, but I don't need that. Angela Bassett's doing that by the way she's talking to him, by the way she's telling him off, by the way she's being this mother character, not just to her own child, but to him. Like I like some of the shots with Ray Fiennes, with his confrontation with Juliette Lewis. Maybe it's the talking, because there's not much action, there's not much special effects. It's just detective noir one-on-one actors. Femme fatale Juliette Lewis giving him shit and telling him it's over. Like you said, that great line. The difference between these these memory things in the movies is that the credits come up and they end. Leave it alone. Go away. And Lenny's like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed that last bit. What did you say? I was too busy looking at your naked breasts. I want to say I like Tom Sizemore, but the fucking hair, man. That fucking hair.
Well, we find out when his wig's removed that he was wearing a squid the whole time underneath, so...
Yeah, well, duh! We knew that!
Right?
Yeah, when he revealed himself as the killer, I'm like... Oh, so you either put one on your head when you were raping that girl, or you've had it underneath your wig the entire time and have recorded absolutely everything that you've gone through. I kind of like some of the stuff with Michael Wincott, as well. The whole section where he's, like you said, talking to Ray Fiennes about, I've taken everything from you. I don't need anything else. But he's not even doing it in a malicious way. It's kind of like he's saying, Faith came to me because she left you. I didn't sweep her off her feet. I just gave her the chance to be the thing that she wanted to be, that you weren't wanting her or allowing her to be. So, and Skunk and Nancy turning up at the end, that was cool. I like Skunk and Nancy.
Yeah, some great music in the film for sure. But yeah, I got loads of favourite scenes in this film, and I'm just going to start from the opening sequence, the heist or the robbery at the Chinese restaurant, the POV sequence from going in and manhandling the people in there to the getting up onto the rooftop to jumping across the other side and then falling to his death. I was like, that was great. That was really, really well done. Do you know what disappoints me? Your sex life. Like that moment on the stairs as he's going into the building behind to fetch the client. That was great. And just the priceless reaction on the commissioner's face was like, that was funny. It's about an hour and 20 minutes into the film, and again, I think it's like all of the POV sequences in the film, because I just think that the camera works really dynamic. It could have been really jarring, like a found footage film, but it's not. No. It's actually very well controlled camera work. So I felt like, I was more engrossed in the action because I was there in that POV. So, and the camera looked and turned almost exactly how you feel the person whose shoes you're in would respond in those moments. So yeah. I thought the camera work was really well controlled.
Well, it's like that special effect they have, as they put the thing on, which then like kind
the
of...
wipe.
Yeah. The filter thing, and then you're in the eyes, and it's just like, yes, you're in this person's memories. But yeah. I was trying to understand how it all works, because, like you said, you see him kind of trying to touch Juliette Lewis, but supposedly when you've got your eyes closed, you can feel it.
Your brain gives you the sensory overload or feeling of it. So yeah.
But like if you open your eyes halfway through, it all disappears.
You get double vision.
As well.
So I think what you're seeing or being brain scanned just overlaps in real reality.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this tie doesn't go with blue. It was like, where did that come from? Like, they're desperately trying to pack some things to get out because they know that the police have got the location. He just stops to go have a fashion moment. I was like, what?
Oh shit.
What's the matter?
This tie doesn't go with blue.
I really liked the very sweet moment where he gives the disc to the guy with no legs and he sees his feet on the sand. I was like, oh, that was a great little moment. Yeah. Really enjoyed that. The car chase sequence, the gun shootout, the car being set on fire and them driving into the ocean and then shotgun blasting out the back of the car to then swim up. So yeah, that action scene was really, really good. Really enjoyed that bit of filmmaking as well. They're used emotions. You need to trade them in for real ones. And Angela Bassett's delivery here, she was electric. She really just laid everything out. And you could read between the lines and see how much she actually loved him in that sequence. So yeah, it was. I think it was also Ralph Fiennes' best performance in the film as well. Both of them feeding off each other here. It was electric, and I really, really appreciated that. And Juliette Lewis, like not the naked stuff, but there's a sequence when she's in the club and she is front and center, and I loved all of the neon colors. The camera was right up on her face with the microphone.
Yeah,
her red hair, her lips, like, and then just the colorization around it. I was like, it's a beautiful looking sequence, and her voice is great, and so. Yeah, again, like I said, the music in the film, I couldn't tell you much about the film's score, but the film's choice of soundtrack was perfect. All rock, grunge, like 90s music. I was like, yeah, it really worked for this film. Well, Ian, I think we might know the answer to this one based on how many points you've made against it. Do you recommend Strange Days?
I cannot recommend Strange Days to your average cinema film watcher. It's too long. It's all over the place. It meanders through multiple different plot points to try to establish something that it actually in the end doesn't really establish very well. The acting lineup is phenomenal, and I can give you so many different movies from this era that these actors did so much better in, and unfortunately I don't know if that's from the screenplay or if that's the I don't want to say the director, because Kathryn Bigelow has done great movies. You know, she's done movies that, you know, like we said, like Near Dark and Lost Boys are two vampire movies that go neck and neck sometimes. But I'm always like, oh, Near Dark is just a little bit more because it's not your conventional, you know. With this, I kind of hoped it would be like a diamond in the rough. Like I could sit here and look at the camera and look at my friend and say, yeah, man, those people out there, they were wrong. They should have gone and seen this. It was absolutely amazing. It was so deep thinking. It was, but it's not. It's like James Cameron took an idea that he stole, and we know that he does that, and then added extra things in there to pretend that it wasn't a stolen idea, and then added extra more stuff into it on top of the extra stuff. And Kathryn Bigelow went, and you want me to film this? This came out the same year as Virtuosity with Denzel Washington. And yeah, that's bad. That's bad. But I would take that over this because, you know, like Johnny Mnemonic with fucking Keanu Reeves. It's got a talking dolphin in it and Dolph Lundgren as an evil priest. That's fucking great. Existenz is better. Dark City is better. The Matrix is better. I know a lot of people are probably going to hit the comment section like a bat out of hell and be like, Ian, you're so fucking wrong. I might be fucking wrong, but I can get a fucking army behind me of people who do not like this movie. I don't want to, because on the other hand, if you are a fan of film and you need to understand where sometimes films can go wrong, this is a really good example piece for this. Is it too long? Has it got too many plot points? Is it just, you know, style over substance? Is it just diluted? Did it have a really good concept and they just kept adding stuff in which then ruined the original concept? I don't know. I can just tell you from me, I do not like this film.
Oh, hell yes! I'm recommending Strange Days. This fantastic cyberpunk neo-noir thriller is more than worth a watch. Strange Days failed to find its audience on release despite high-scoring reviews, and it remains mostly undiscovered today due to poor home media releasing and lack of streaming options until more recently, and where the film's themes and events bear even closer resemblance to the world today. Ralph Fiennes is fantastic in the lead role, elevated by a solid cast of quality character actors. This ensemble is great. Angela Bassett really steals the film, though, as she's great in the action scenes, vulnerable when needed, and a great moral compass for the lead. Bassett really made this work, a career highlight for sure. And there are some great, well-executed action scenes and montages of urban decay and visceral point-of-view sequences that are eye-opening and shocking and always compelling. I feel this is a must-watch. It's one of Kathryn Bigelow's best films that deserves to be seen again and again. And if not for the film, then for its wicked soundtrack. You know you want it. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
No, Lenny!
Yeah? What?